So welcome to another live video. Just waiting for some people to come in. I hope everyone's well, and I'll start off by saying what I normally say, which is if you've got any questions, please put them down. We might be joined later on in the second half of the hour by someone else, so I'm looking forward to that. So until people start asking questions, I'll waffle on as always. So I was just remembering back to things that I used to hear back in the 80s when I was researching all sorts of stuff, and I just can't help but keep remembering some of the people that said that in the future, these are clairvoyants or remote viewers that I was listening to, and they predicted that in the future people would be put in concentration camps for a few years, and then after that will become the age of the AI. And you just look around what's happening now and you can't think, you just got to think, wow, it's all coming together. So I won't talk too much about that subject, because we all know what we're talking about here, so as long as we win. But like I say, the things that I heard in the past seem to be all coming true, so fingers crossed we win. So unless anyone asks any questions, I'm going to carry on waffling on, and I was going to talk about the Anunnaki, because I'm going back around on the videos doing the Anunnaki at the moment. People's asked for more in depth, so I started to research again the Anunnaki. Now, the last time I read the Book of Enoch and things like that was a long time ago, so I thought I'd recap on things. And wow, knowing now what I know now, and adding the Book of Enoch, so I can reread it and add things to it, work out things. Something that I was totally blown away by this time round is the fact that they actually mention, or Enoch mentions in his book, about angels, which is fine, and different types of angels. Now, we associate angels with messengers, but what's really interesting is he also talks about spirits as two different things. So you've got angels, which are one thing, and spirits, which is another. Now, the Bible, as far as I'm aware, puts spirits and angels as one. You've got an angel that comes down, which is a spirit. But Enoch was actually writing totally over and over and over again about the separation between angels. He was standing next to one of them in one of his dreams, next to an angel, which was, if we believe it, is just an Anunnaki that's came down. But he's talking about the spirits. But what also was interesting is, prior to his dream, he was talking about the almighty Anu, which is the king of Nibiru. He had said that because of the Nephilim, etc., that the spirits of those Nephilim and of the fallen angels will be sent to, well, he didn't say hell, but in a bad place. So the Anunnaki were absolutely fully aware of spirits. And as you continue to read, you realise that they also were aware of the jobs that the spirits have to do. So I've mentioned in my videos where the spirit, before it joins you, is allocated a job, and that job was given to that spirit by the council of aliens, which includes the spirits. So if you go back and actually, we'll do videos specifically on this, but the Anunnaki were totally aware of the jobs that they had to do, were totally aware of spirits, and in some cases could see them. That's what it comes across as, and could actually affect them once. So once someone had died, the spirit could be affected by the Anunnaki. Now, whether or not they had technology to sort of, like a Ghostbusters thing that can grab it and do whatever they want with it. I know the little greys, the stories of the little greys, they can do that. They can actually, I don't know whether it's the right word, capture, but they've been seen with them in these sort of cages, these spirits, which are just basically white orbs. So the Anunnaki is fascinating. They actually really do know more than us. Now, going back while I was researching it, I was trying to work out how far in advance they are from us now. And my conclusion, that obviously they had different things. So when they arrived here, I think they were about 150 years ahead of where we are now. So they're not, millions of years ahead of where we are now. They're only about 150 years ahead, which would make sense in the rocket ships. Now, obviously, we've got anti-gravity, but we've only got anti-gravity because of the crashed, reversed engineered crafts. So there's a few messages. I'll just scroll now and I'll shut up talking. Just read the messages. So Planet has wrote, I believe spirits and angels are other life forms who lived among us behind human senses. So yeah, I don't know if you've heard the beginning part of the Anunnaki. They mention the angels as real beings. So the Book of Enoch was saying that the angels are literally, which is what I said, no more than another name for the Anunnaki who came down and was probably truck drivers, for all we know, in spaceship drivers taking the gold backwards and forwards. That's all they could have been, angels. But obviously the Bible then mixed it with spirits. But the Book of Enoch totally separates them. Talks about spirits. I will cover this in videos, but it absolutely talks about spirits as being eternal life, whereas the angels is talking about them coming down, having chats with them, things like that. So I think, I'm just going by my research, and especially everything that I've learned since I first read the book. Angels to me is just another name. So if we replace that, and also they're talking about space again, or heaven, in the Bible, in the Book of Enoch. And if you replace that, I mean, I know I've said it before, but obviously I'd read the book many, many years ago. But if you replace every time they say the word heaven for space, because he's talking about the stars. He says up in the stars in heaven. You replace that with space, it makes much more sense, because you would see stars in space, but you wouldn't see stars in heaven, really. Logically you wouldn't. So I think there is a difference between the description of what an angel is. I think it's literally just and that they're higher up. He talks about higher up angels, which I think are probably more like supervisors. It just reads like that. It just comes across once you sort of put your head in how, instead of every time he says angel you keep thinking it's a spirit. If you put your head in the fact that it's just another Anunnaki coming down, probably a higher ranked Anunnaki, it makes total sense, because you've got to remember Enoch wasn't an Anunnaki. He was just a scribe that was, a human Homo sapiens sapien that was created by them going back. He actually tells you who his father and his father's father was and his father's father's father was in the book. So I think angels really are, as what we call them, messengers, which are probably just the truck drivers of the spaceships that was taking the gold, and spirits are literally spirits that are eternal that they talk about. And Swoons wrote points for no bullet points. Not sure what that means. Probably referring to my crude picture on the screen. It's some Regal has wrote, I heard something like that. Therefore, the Earth is a prison planet. It's not really a prison planet, from what I understand. It's a training ground. It's one of the lower places for the spirits to come, because we are we're not ascended higher in consciousness. So if a spirit has already gone through us, moved on to another, planet where there's higher consciousness, they don't really want to come back here, and that's where you get the star seeds that did come back here, apparently, to help raise the consciousness of our planet, which at this point they haven't done a very good job. So I don't think it's a prison planet. I heard that many years ago. I used to say, oh, it's a prison planet because everyone else was saying it's a prison planet. But I think it's just like a nursery, really. We're just setting out. Trish has wrote, can Bigfoot something shift? So I thought, sorry, I was reading it. I thought you wrote something else, but you wrote shift in and out of visual. So I know I've said this many times, so forgive me if you've already heard this, but my thoughts on Bigfoot, and I'll be really quick because I've said it a few times, is the Bigfoots here on Earth were 10,000 years plus. They crashed on this Earth. It was a prison ship, according to themselves. They've told people in what they call mind speak. They've told people this. So those ones on here on Earth can't shift anywhere. They're stuck, which is why they have to run and hide and throw rocks. But the actual race themselves still travel the galaxy, and they travel the galaxy with the little greys as well as some other aliens. So that's it in a nutshell. So if you see them disappear, then it's probably the ones that are waiting for the spaceship above to beam them up, so to speak. But the ones that's here, they're stuck here and they're here for the rest. Swims wrote, I want they daddy greys to probe me. You probably wouldn't want that. Not a pleasant experience. However, I did hear a story once. Now, I don't know whether this guy was lying or not. And he said that they gave him what they call a false memory. And he thought he was on a spaceship with a humanoid female, and he impregnated her. It turns out it wasn't. It was an alien. Whether or not that's true, because I know they don't normally do that. They just insert something somewhere. I'm not going to mention where, and then they can quite easily extract the seed of life, shall we say, from a man without needing to subterfuge, use so I don't know whether that's true. So his story, but I know that they do probe, and it's not really probe, it's more of a device that will allow them to get what they need from us. Michael Most has wrote, is it possible that ancient aliens travel the universe by creating portals made out of living creatures? Very good question. It wasn't until about 5 or 6 years ago that I'd heard that interdimensional spacecraft. So if you've seen the TV show Farscape, where it's half living, I've heard stories since, as I say, about the last 5 years of interdimensional beings having these craft that create the portals themselves. So in other words, it's the creature that creates the interdimensional portal. So they're inside it. Again, whether or not that's true is really difficult to get through. Now I know, well, I've heard, for example, the Zeta Reticuli, how they get here, and apparently it takes them a couple of days to get up to the speed that they need to get up to from their planet. It might even be longer than a couple of days. I'm trying to remember. I think it was a good while. Might have been about a week or something. It was a good time for them to get up to the speed to be able to get be able to create this portal effect, or they could create the portal effect, but they needed the speed to continue through. But either way, then it took them some time, and then they had to come out of the portal sort of a week before they would have got to Earth, if that makes sense. And their journey wasn't instantaneous. It was someone somewhere in my back of my memory said it was a year or something for them to get here, which makes sense when so it's not instant portal, it's more like a wormhole, and that would make sense that because if you believe the Project Serpo, which is where the Americans used J-Rod to help them communicate with the Zeta Reticuli, then Spielberg, if you remember the Spielberg Close Encounters of the Third Kind, he based that off of this. So J-Rod helped communicate with the Zetas, and they had a date set up ready, but the date didn't quite work the way they thought it would, so they ended up early. And I might be wrong, but I think it was the Remy Zamore incident. If you guys know of that, he's was a copper, and it's quite an important story out there because he testified that he saw a sort of tic-tac shaped UFO with little beings outside, and then he went over and they flew off. Now, if I remember correctly, I think they were the ones that came, but they came a week early or something because of the time difference that we have compared to them. They didn't quite grasp our calendar on the chats between J-Rod and thingy. So yeah, so that's hopefully that answers something of the portal question. Mo Zaraza says yes, Bigfoot shifting and out of dimensions, and others too. I wouldn't have said that because I just don't say that. I've heard one story where someone said that they saw Bigfoot walking towards a portal, but I don't think that was a Bigfoot that's stuck on Earth. I would say that was one of the Bigfoots that hangs around with the little greys and can fly ships. And the reason why I don't think who would want to stay on Earth being shot at, hiding, throwing rocks at people? If you've got the option to bug out on another dimension, it's got to be better than hiding and making silly noises to try and scare little humans. You see the logic there. It just doesn't make sense. If you've got the ability to disappear, you wouldn't be. As soon as you knew there was a human around, you just bug out. And what's the point of staying here on Earth? I mean, it's a pretty crappy place. There's footage of them carrying deers under their arms, which clearly shows it's not a human doing it, because there's no way we'd be able to lift a deer up and carry a full-size deer under our arm, but they do. So I can't imagine them shifting dimensions, because they wouldn't. I just can't imagine it. Sorry, but I mean, unless you can let me know another, why you think they can, but the logic just isn't there. They chase cars, and there's no point in them doing all of that. They hide in barns. They follow the train tracks, so they migrate. They wouldn't do that if they could bug out of here. So I still can't see. Michael's wrote, "How about aliens covered in metal casing that can set up the nuclear holocaust?" Not heard of that. Not heard of that at all, I'm afraid. I know they do wear clothes, skin tight clothes, which are really, 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 really difficult to get off. You need diamond tipped saws and all sorts of things. In fact, when they first found crashed little aliens, they thought that it was skin until they tried to cut it open. So no, I've not heard of them covered in metal that can set up a nuclear holocaust, and I don't think they would set up a nuclear holocaust. I don't think any aliens want nuclear. I think because it actually, from what I understand, it destroys the spirits. It can actually destroy a eternal energy spirit and they don't want that. And so I think that explains why the UFOs have been over nuclear sites and stopping, turning off the nukes. It's Marengul 69 has wrote to the other guy, Michael. They prevent Earth from any nuclear threat that we present. They prevent, yeah, that's exactly what I was just saying. They do now. I mean, I know you've got North Korea that's out there with their nukes. If they changed it from a nuke to something else, some other weapon, not a nuke that would destroy it, because I think the aliens will disable them. But if they use some other technology, North Korea, then they could probably slip past the net and not need, and not be stopped by the little greys. But don't tell them I said that, because they'll probably go and do that. Was this after the 2 nukes they dropped? Jurgen says that, yes. So basically, what happened was we didn't. We wasn't. That's why they're testing nukes under the ocean, I think, now, because there's no spirits floating around there. But I think what happened was in the New Mexico, when they first set the bombs off, that's when it caused a rift, and B, I wouldn't have thought that particular one killed the spirits, but the souls. But I know they did another one after that, and obviously you've got Hiroshima as well. So I think they started to pay more attention to us. And if there was a rift, that would, if the nuke causes a rift as well and allows other interdimensional aliens to come through, that would be another reason for them to want to stop. It's as wrote, they did this in the 70s already, and there was a message that we have to stop bombing the Earth. Yep, spot on. Jurgens wrote, why did I hear they have a portal on the dark side of the moon? I've not heard that, but if you think that we've got portals here, a lot of them over Earth, then they could quite easily have a portal over the moon, on the back far side of the moon. Sorry, just reading down now. Why are they bombing the ocean? Sorry, someone's shouting. What? Sorry. One sec, everyone. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that, everybody. When you needed, you needed. Right, where was I? What's interdimensional and outer dimensional? I don't think there's a difference. I think we just call it interdimensional and outer dimensional. I think they're just different dimensions. That's just my opinion, unless someone knows different. I just think we call it something. Vinyl has wrote, guess he fell asleep or Google isn't working. Sorry, not sure what you mean there. So Jurgen's replied, I think interdimensional means between dimensions. Bronx Babs wrote, why are we, what is the point of life? That's a deep question, isn't it? Well, I just think life started. I don't think. There's a two trains of thought, isn't there? There's the one that a god or creation or a thought created the universe. That's one, and then you've got the others, which is just it all happened by accident, and here we are. So I don't think there's a meaning to life, because I think if you look at there was a BBC, I think it was a BBC program that done a future analysis of what would happen in the next trillion years. If you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. Really fascinating. So eventually, obviously, they start from now and they go forward and they speed up the time on the video. And eventually, obviously, our sun explodes and blah, blah, blah. And eventually, there is nothing, because everything else has just destroyed itself. So if you think that that's going to happen, would the spirit still be eternal? In which case, that would be a horrible existence to have swirling around in absolutely nothingness. And if everything dies at the end, then there is no point to life. It's just happy accidents, and enjoy it while you can. Just be cold, man. If we don't know how alien bodies work, do you think it's possible that they could see the internet? Yes. Yeah, there was a story. Well, first of all, they're smarter than us. we know that just by the fact we can't recreate the stuff that they're doing. But there was that one story which I find always fascinating, is where they was talking to I think it was a contactee, in other words, not an abductee, but one of the people that they've abducted over time and then allowed them to have their memories, so they've become a contactee. And they had the screen on, like a holographic screen, but it wasn't. It was two-dimensional. And this guy, there was this police news report on there, and this guy was watching it with them. I think I don't know which Greys it was, but I know it was Greys. And so I'm guessing it's the Zetas, and they said to him, look, and what was happening was a policeman shot a person, a bad guy, and then ran over to try and help the person. And they turned to this person standing there watching it and said, why do you hurt someone and then try and heal them? So they couldn't grasp that. But if they can use, if they can tap into our television signals, I'm sure they could tap into our internet if they wanted to. Now they've got people here on Earth as well. So we've got the hybrids that they've been doing that now live among us. So they have probably accessed the internet, I'm sure. So they probably know exactly what's going on, which is probably why there's a lot of UFO activity now. So you could either say it's Project Bluebeam, or things are ramping up and they know what's going on in the world. And if you know what I'm on about with what's going to happen probably in the next couple of years. So I'm just reading. Sorry, I'm just reading the questions. Bronx has wrote, I thought, don't nobody knows nothing, we just speculate. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, we do. Educated guesses, really. Amanda, yes, go for it. Amanda might be joining us shortly, which would be nice to have an extra person here. So I think I've pretty much caught up there. There's a couple of people that was chatting between themselves. I'm just trying to connect with Amanda. What's going to happen in the next couple of years? Billy's wrote. So go.
Hello.
I see Amanda's picture. There's the book that I recommend. Hi Amanda, I'm just going to turn the volume up. I don't know if you can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Hi Amanda.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi.
Good.
Welcome to the live chat.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So you can probably answer this. So Billy's asked what's going to happen in the next couple of years. Obviously, this goes on YouTube, so try and be mindful of how you answer it. But what's your
No swearing and all that.
Well, yeah, if you mention the jabs as well, the names of them, they might pull the videos and my whole channel off. But what do you think is going to happen in the next couple of years?
Well, there's a lot going around about 5G, and when they switch that on, that they're going to have some sort of effect on those that have been stabbed. Who knows what that might mean? We shall wait and see.
And the effect is probably because of the graphene oxide that's inside the stab.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I saw because apparently they've approved one now, haven't they?
Yeah, but if they're all in on it, of course they're going to approve it.
Yeah, but they had also listed the ingredients that was in it, but then there's also been people say that one isn't actually one that's being used.
Right.
How true that is, I don't know.
Okay.
Because they were very resilient and they didn't want anybody to know the ingredients that were in them when they first released them.
I mean that's what made me worry, is when you hear Bill Gates saying that they're only allowing 4 labs to actually manufacture this, but we need to get it out to as many places. And there was actual other labs that were more qualified than, for example, Moderna, because they, as far as I know, they've never done any of this kind of thing before in their life. And these other labs have asked to do it, but because Bill Gates says he's not going to allow them to, they didn't get
He didn't
done.
want to
So
share the ingredients.
correct, yeah, you got it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
saw some of the videos where they were showing the labs that were ready and that were asking for them to be able to release the vaccines in whatever country it was, and they were spotless. They had all of the equipment that they would ever need. Like you said, probably better than the ones that were actually using it at the time. But yeah, who knows? I just hope that Nibiru comes back round before then.
well, yeah, I don't know if you've seen. There's people. It was a news channel, in fact, even saying it. American news channel was highlighting the fact that there was this planet that shouldn't be around the back of the sun, and you can just about see it. So, see, the thing was when I years ago, as I was researching, obviously I came across the underground city bunkers that the elites were all going to hide in, and that I always thought that was for the Planet X, Nibiru coming back round, causing earthquakes and whatever else. But they could have timed this just right so that everything happens all at once, and they only have to stay in the bunker once to avoid sort of zombies as well as the planet destroying itself.
I wonder why that they're pushing the jab so much so quickly because they know that something's coming.
Definitely, yeah.
Who knows?
Just has wrote a question. Do you believe you can create worlds? Because I have a thought exercise that trips people out. Um, what
Be
do you think?
interested to know what that thought exercise is.
Yeah. Um,
Creating worlds. I'm not sure we could do that necessarily. I think that as a race, we have kind of put ourselves on a pedestal thinking that we're the most intelligent and that there's no one else anywhere in the universe. It could possibly be done by others, but I don't think it could be done by us.
well, unless, I mean, if you remember the video that I did where there was this person that said he leaned up against one of those ancient sort of doorways, hung the tune,
Yeah,
and then ended up in a place where these other aliens were containing a universe, which was the universe this guy was in, which is our universe. And they accidentally created that in the same way that CERN's trying to do it now. So could
yeah,
CERN accidentally create something that we don't even know is a universe, um, but it could be, a microscopic type universe?
yeah.
Because people, talk about the Matrix and things. So I guess it's possible.
It's quite mind blowing, isn't it? The possibilities are endless, and being able to get your head around that sort of thing it never ends. It just keep going down that rabbit hole, trying to find things out, and it's not got a bottom.
Now, I believe that you like the Nephilim. You like tall people because I think
I do.
your partner is 6'5", and he's probably a
He
Nephilim.
is. Yeah, I expect so. But then again, he was premature. So when he was a baby, he was tiny. They obviously had to put him in an incubator, and I think it's what they pumped into the incubator that made him so tall.
Right. Because that makes me
Um,
wonder, doesn't it? I mean, you've got these giants, which I'll be doing a video on the actual size because they talk about it in cubits in the Book of Enoch, what the size of the Nephilim were. Um, but you think, well, that would rip a woman apart. But as you say,
mm,
a 6'5" chap was tiny.
yeah, it is strange. I mean, and like obviously his brother that was born at the same time is nothing. Just an average height, 5'8", 5'9", probably. But yeah, to be 6'5" is quite unusual.
I mean, I'm 6'3", and in a previous life of what I dealt with, I had to deal with people that were 7 foot. Long story, um, to do with film people, but and standing next to him, 7 foot, made me feel like a dwarf.
Yeah, I bet.
So could you imagine, a 10 foot person?
I
It's just
know.
or
Madness.
higher. Jurgens wrote, "Do you think ancients used sound and frequency to move Stonehenge to where it is?" Your thoughts on that, Amanda?
Well, talking about giants, I expect that if they were around at the time, they probably had a hand in it. But I do agree that frequency and sound can be used to move objects. I know I've seen a story, I can't remember where it was, but civilization that's still not integrated into our world, if you like, did do a demonstration of levitating with frequency, and then the chapter stuff got taken off of him when he was going through the airport, never to be seen again. So obviously it didn't fit their narrative, so I didn't want anyone else knowing about it, but I completely agree that that could be done. There's no reason why not.
In Stonehenge, I think they're slowly letting out some information that actually under Stonehenge is a lot more to it than just ground. And if these stones are really from Wales, like I think they said they were, and that the terrain would have been very hilly up and down to try and bring it there, even for giants, there wouldn't have been a point in doing that, because we don't have many giants here in the UK. I mean, we've got people
that we know of.
Yeah, we've got giantism, and again, that all leads back to the Anunnaki being in, Samaria, Iraq, and then spreading out, Africa when they was digging the mines and things. So where the giants are makes sense to where the Anunnaki were, for example, compared to England, where the Anunnaki, I don't believe, visited England, which then means we've probably not got any giants here. So,
But I don't know much about this, but at some point was the land not all joined?
yeah, that was way, way back. From the Book of Enoch, the Anunnaki came here about 450,000 years ago. So,
Might have been here before, we just don't know about it.
yeah, but the Book of Enoch is where they're talking about the Nephilim being born, so that would have been in the time frame from 450,000 years ago. I mean, there could have been ancient aliens prior to that, but definitely, I think the frequencies. But saying that, though, is a good question, because there's me saying I don't think the Anunnakis came here, but then you got the Stonehenge, and
yeah, exactly.
So
it's hard when they're trying to hide the truth from everybody as much as they are
Yeah.
to get to find the truth, because obviously their narrative and the documentaries that they release, I have seen some, and it just frustrates me so much that what they're saying doesn't make sense. If you're going to come out with a story, at least to make it viable.
I mean, the thing is, they also can't answer things like, Stonehenge, Easter Island, and things like that. So, if the Anunnaki came here, it was a very quick trip because there's no evidence. And then, as you say, they hide evidence. So, could there have been more Anunnaki here for a lot longer than just building the Stonehenge? It's all food for thought, isn't it?
It is.
Justice wrote, through their whole life, now they just create the whole world in your mind. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the videos I did was, could you create something? Because like I said before in one of the live chats, I said, if you think of a red dot, that red dot's still there.
Yeah.
So, and it will be.
I think the brain is a powerful thing, and I don't think that we've been allowed to realise its full potential. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, well, look at monks and Buddhas and things like that. They try and raise their consciousness, so they're obviously aware of it. But we've been, pushed down and told not to.
It's been kept to select groups of people. But then even them that do it, I don't believe that they know everything there is to know.
No. Even the powers that be, I don't think know everything. I think that some aliens are certainly hiding stuff from everyone for their own agenda. Anthony Bees wrote, they discovered a Stonehenge at the bottom of Lake Michigan. Do you think it's related to England's?
I think they're all related one way or another, aren't they? They're probably used for the same purposes.
Yeah. So did you see the videos I did on Michael Tellinger, where he says that the Stonehenge, as well as all the monuments around the world, are used for the power grid that the Anunnaki created?
Yes. But then I also saw another video that said that things like Stonehenge were used for those secret societies to do their unpleasant rituals.
Yeah, I know. The rituals always gets me because that's an easy way out of saying something. It's like, the Mayan pyramids. Oh well, there's this gully. There was this sort of gully that comes from the top of the pyramid down, but runs along beside the steps. And they said, oh well, the blood can pour down there. Sometimes they just clutch at straws by using the rituals as an easy answer out. Yes, they probably did. After the Anunnaki probably left, people probably used the same area as a ritual place, but I don't think the Anunnaki used it, because when you again listen to the Book of Enoch or read the Book of Enoch, they're talking about righteousness, and the bad people get banished and all this kind of stuff. So I don't think they were intent on sacrificing people. I don't remember ever reading anything where they said they sacrifice stuff. They want people to worship them, yes. But so I don't think the statues, or the monuments were built specifically originally for any kind of rituals. But I think sick humans eventually, as you say.
Yeah, true. Yeah, used as power grid originally, and then the people that didn't understand what they were actually made for have turned them into something else. But there's so many stories about what they could have been used for, not all in the mainstream, but that's why it makes it so difficult to pinpoint the actual reason for it being there.
Yeah, yeah. Conan's wrote there is a giant cave. I'm not sure what the cave is. Probably on Ticknock Mountain in Dublin.
Oh, cave maybe?
Or grave.
Yeah.
So there was giants in Ireland. Um, yeah, yeah, and Malta also. There's supposed to be giants. So yeah, I mean there could have been giants in the UK, but again, it's so well hidden. Yeah,
Like all their skeletons are well hidden.
yeah, yeah. So it's really difficult because you get the different stories out there, and you try and decipher them. Billy has wrote, I heard a theory that analysed the returning within 2 years, which is why the USA pulled out of the Middle East.
I think there's a lot of reasons behind why they've pulled out. Obviously, not all known reasons, but
I think one of them is they want the military back in their own countries to force people into those new.
Yes, yeah.
And if the
I think the list is endless with the reasons why they've.
Yeah, timed it.
Obviously, not the reason that you'll see on the TV, but.
No, spot on. Yeah. So it's just scary times coming up. Anthony, another question. Your thoughts on the crystal pyramid they found at the bottom of Bermuda Triangle? True.
It's interesting.
Did you remember? I don't know if you've seen it. There's some videos or photographs on the internet showing that the bottom of Bermuda Triangle, right where there would be a ley line, is a pyramid shape. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that. No.
Oh, right, yeah, no, it's fascinating. I mean, could that have been faked? Quite easily, yes. Now, obviously, the Bermuda Triangle, as you know, has got these properties to it that can sink ships. You know the story, the first story of how the Bermuda Triangle got found. There was a group of planes coming back from a mission, if I remember correctly, and one of them flew off and it just disappeared. So then the others flew off to try and find him. They disappeared, and then they sent ships off, and they disappeared. And that's pretty much how the Bermuda Triangle started its thing. But if there's stories that the Bermuda Triangle could have been methane released from the bottom of the ocean, and as it comes up, it creates a bubble. But that doesn't explain the electrical malfunctions. So the bubbles would sink a ship, because it would open up a pocket underneath the ship, and the ship would just sort of sink slightly, and then end up going under.
So I did see a video of a guy that was flying a plane through that area, and his story on how everything, all his controls or when his compasses went, and just time didn't match what you would expect time to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I remember
Um,
a few people have said the same thing. Yeah,
hmm.
and sometimes they see sort of a fog or a mist in the
Yes.
sky, which is quite scary when there shouldn't be that. So if we assume the pyramid is like the other pyramids, some of the other pyramids that have power coming from them, sort of going upwards. If that's in the water, could the
Yeah.
power be magnified by the water and cause the ships? And I don't know how it would cause the ships to sink, but I could understand it causing electrical issues. So
Or there could be another portal there, and then God knows where they're ending up.
yeah, there's a few stories about that as well, which is what goes in with the mist that ships have sailed through there and ended up coming to an island which wasn't obviously on their chart. And they
Well, I
say,
think there's a lot of islands that aren't on charts. A
yeah,
lot of land
yeah.
that's not.
But they said that the island then disappeared. Um, but could it have just disappeared because of the fog, or is there really sort of islands popping in and out, or did they go through, as you say, a portal to a different dimension? All good
There's a lot on
questions.
films about islands that appear out of nowhere and disappear, so I don't doubt it.
Shaznans wrote aliens are black. I'm
Okay.
guessing they're referring to the Anunnaki. So the description from the Book of Enoch makes them out to be pale skinned with blue eyes. The indigenous hominids that were here at the time were black. And from what we understand, the Anunnaki created from those hominids a creature in their image, which again would make sense that if we was pale, the hybrids that they created, if we was pale skinned, we would look like them. And then obviously the black indigenous species were still here and they carried on, and eventually we ended up what we've got now. But I can't see the Anunnaki being black, only just because of the descriptions. There's no descriptions that said they were black. I know
Could have been
people
pink
want.
or purple.
See, I mean, you've got. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to Africa, doesn't it? Which is where the Anunnaki set up their lab to do this. Which is where they was mining, which is why they set up the lab, because it all makes sense with if they're mining in Africa and they're struggling, and in fact if you read the Book of Enoch, they admit that they find this hard work, so they created Adam. Gavistas wrote, "Hi, I caught a grey on camera in my living room." Wow,
Yeah, I asked him if he shared the video. I haven't seen if he's replied.
that'd be cool, wouldn't
Can
it?
I put a YouTube link here? It has a photo. Yeah, it would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But if is it on a video, did he say, or photo? On camera, so a picture. Yeah, share the picture.
Yeah, definitely. Conan's wrote giant grave. I meant it's a grave, all white stones in the shape of a horseshoe. Cool. I'll look into that actually after once I get off the phone. I'm just scrolling down. If you want to read any of them.
One of the planes ended up in Miami, so I'm guessing that's one of the ones that flew through the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, if I remember, it was a little biplane with two propellers, and he before you knew it, he came out of this mist, and his air traffic control ended up being Miami instead of whatever it was supposed to be, and he couldn't figure it out, and neither could Miami nor where he left from. So yeah, it's definitely something going on there.
It's shared the YouTube link, so I'm just going to write it down so that we don't lose it.
Hi, it's me, with a little wave. Just scrolling down.
Yeah, look at
So what's your fascinating subject? What is it? Spirits, Bigfoots, aliens, greys? What's your
I'm
what?
an all-rounder, I guess. I read. I've got an unhealthy obsession with buying books at the moment. Um, Hence why one's on the screen because I found that one very helpful. Um, but what I don't think I've got a favourite. I just like to know about. I just like to know about everything, really. But then it
Oh,
just seems to take forever and ever and ever to get through all of the information that there is out there that has been able, well, that they've allowed to be released, if you like.
have you been watching The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch? Have you managed to
I
sort of?
haven't. I haven't watched that.
Oh, it's fascinating.
I can't. Was it on Netflix? Because I think I
History.
did look it up, but it wouldn't let me watch it.
Oh yeah, History Channel. I think it's History Channel.
No, I did. I have because I've had to dedicate a notebook to write everything down in. So I have a long list of things that I need to watch, that I need to read up on. Um, but what did I watch recently? I'll have to have a look, see what it is called. But I watched a series on basically the government trying to take control of technology and
So
kind of did
a
speak a bit
fictional
about
show
what's going
or a
on
real
now.
show?
Sorry?
A fictional show or a real show
Well, it was fictional, but
based?
a lot of you know how they like to plant little messages in
Mm,
there and drop words that are related to real things that people wouldn't
mm,
necessarily pick up on the time, but make something out to be bad so that then subconsciously, when it does come around in the future that they hear that word, they automatically then think it's a bad thing. When
mm.
in reality, it's not. They just don't know about it, but saw this program and thought that they should look at it badly.
Billy's asked, I'd like to know the truth about the moon landings. Well, there's the video out there now. Have you seen the video of Stanley Kubrick?
I don't. Which what happens?
So he's basically interviewed and obviously before he passed and literally said, I shot the moon landings, it's fake. Um,
No,
yeah,
I didn't see that.
no, it's out there. If it's if it's fake, they've done a bloody good job, and it's a lot of effort to go through for no money. I know there's people out there that can quite easily do this on computers, but it's his voice, it's his
Mm,
mannerisms, and it's him sitting in a chair. So he's basically admitted that we've all heard the stories a long time ago, didn't we? That Stanley Kubrick filmed it on on a stage.
well,
Um,
I recently went back and watched the original footage, and I, from my point of view, not being a professional in that field, but I just think it's fake. The video just does not look realistic at all. Back then, in the day when they were trying to do films with, I don't know, to special effects and stuff, I yeah, I can't believe it. I believe that they've been there. I believe that they did go there and they probably did film what they did there, but they probably found something that they didn't want anyone to know about, therefore reshot it to not show anything, if you like.
so I'm on the train of thought that the first one was fake. The second one that they went there was probably real, or one of them was real. It's really hard to know, isn't it? Which one's the
Mm.
ones that's real, but.
But like I
Um,
say, if you go back and watch that original video, I just can't believe that that's real.
no, no.
Just the way that it goes up, the way that it takes off, it just doesn't.
What
With
from the
how things are now that you watch on the TV, they're quite realistic. When you go back and watch that, it smacks you as fake.
well, I mean, you got to remember, Wizard of Oz was shot 30 or 40 years before that. Look at the quality of Wizard of Oz, and it's amazing. With all the stunts and flying creatures and everything else. So you'd think they would have got the bit where one of the astronauts falls over and then suddenly bounces back up. In other words, he's got string on him pulling him up. You'd think they would have been able to do that a bit better, but
Yeah, the budget wasn't probably wasn't as good as the one for Wizard of Oz.
But yeah, no, I think certainly the first one was fake, for sure. And then I do think we was warned off the moon
Mm,
as NASA, as opposed to because the far side of the moon we've already was working on there with, or the Nazis were already
yeah.
working on the far side of the moon with the aliens. So
Uh,
us with our little tin can spaceships going up, they
I
pretty much said
was,
don't do that
I was
anymore.
going to say America obviously didn't want anyone else to claim that they'd been to the moon before them,
Yeah, it was a propaganda thing,
and
wasn't it?
so mm,
Uh, and Billy's wrote at the time it was all about the prestige of the Cold War. Yeah, there was because Russia put up a spaceship rocket before America did into space. So of course then America had to try and get one better. So yeah, it was all
they've got
propaganda.
to be the saviours of everything, haven't they?
Yeah, good old America. So I've only got 4
Hmm.
minutes left, I'm afraid.
Oh, that went quick.
Yeah. Time flies when you enjoy yourself. Um, Capricorn One, the
Uh,
film, do you think tells the truth? That's Billy's wrote that. Have you
I've
seen
not
it?
seen
Well,
it.
you've not seen it. Okay, it's a slightly older
No.
film. Well, they said what's his name was chosen. Kubrick was chosen because he done 2001, and he done some space moon scenes and stuff like that, from what I remember reading. So Capricorn One. It's a tricky one because do you remember the film The Day the Earth Stood Still?
Yeah.
The old, not the Keanu Reeves one, the older one. Now that was apparently
Hmm.
funded by the military as an exercise to see what would happen with people if they found aliens are real, which is quite an
Yeah,
interesting.
don't doubt it. There's an agenda to everything they do.
Mm. So Capricorn One, it would be nice to know who sort of funded that, because if it was funded by the military like the other film was, then were they trying to tell us something? I don't know. Um,
Well, I was just looking at the pictures for the film, and their little spacecraft looks more realistic than the one that's on the video that NASA released.
yeah, I
Still
think
got tin foil around it, but
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, so it's
I
yeah,
think there's an element of truth in every film, every program that they release.
yeah. I mean, they
It's
do.
just knowing what part of it is
Yeah,
the message they're trying to get out. Because like they say that they have to tell us the truth one way or another, whether we know it or not,
yeah.
to be able to do the evil things that they do.
Well, they say that Kubrick, in his later films after doing the Moon, he kept putting these hidden clues in each one, even right up to the Eyes Wide Shut about the secret societies and stuff. So, as you say, if if they're making films, someone's trying to probably let us know something.
Well, I saw one the other day, a far-fetched example, but of Captain America when he comes out of his deep sleep and he runs out into the street. If you watch that scene very slowly, you'll see that in the background there's a mask, there's a bottle of Corona, and there's the picture that they're using for the spike protein
God,
all in the
really?
background. So, yeah, it's quite
Wow.
but I know coincidences. There's a few of them going around, but and I'm not sure on that one. There's a few that I've seen that I think, yeah, they've obviously done that intentionally, but with this
Mm,
one, I'm not too sure.
so there's a lot in that, as you say. Wow, I've not noticed that,
But
but
who has the time to go through every single film that slowly? Oh, excuse the dog.
Jürgen wrote,
He wants to join in.
oh bless. Jürgen's wrote it's crazy that the files they're declassifying and people aren't reading up on it. Yeah, I mean they still redact a lot of stuff, but yeah, I
Mm.
mean they are trying to release stuff. I mean that's if you believe that certain powers in the military want us to um, find out what's going on. So the
Have they
John.
released some more recently? I know, I know that a certain corporation released quite a lot a few years ago. But I haven't seen
Yeah, well,
any more recent than that.
yeah, well, the ones I think it was a month or so ago, but basically they just said they don't know what's going on. But um, the John Podesta, I think it's John Podesta. I can't remember his first name, might be wrong. He was working for the American government, and he's came out. But then people now say that he's a debunk. He's out to give
Yeah,
misinformation.
yeah.
So very hard to
There's
know.
so many documents that they're releasing, though, it's hard to get through them all. I picked a subject, and I think it had hundreds of pages with, say, like 20, 25 documents per page, and within those documents was, say, 100 pages. So be able to get through that one subject would probably take me the rest of my life.
Yeah, yeah, and that's probably why they do it. Okay, it's now time for me to go, I'm afraid.
Time up.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Oh,
That
you're
was
more than
nice.
welcome. Yes, lovely. Thank you for joining. And
Not a problem.
thank you to everyone that's listened. And this will go up on YouTube as always. And until Monday, I'll be back Monday. And I'll talk to everyone soon. Take care, everyone.
Speak to you later.
Bye.
Bye.